Hello and welcome to this course on how to build your confidence. My name's Ross Axton and I'm going to be your instructor from start to finish all the way throughout this course. Now, in this first video lecture, I want to discuss with you how you can get help if you find yourself stuck or have a question at any point throughout this course. I want you to feel like I am truly here for you, my student, truly there to help you learn, grow, and build your confidence. So if you have a question, the first thing you should do is check the Q&A section that comes with Udemy. If you have a question, then the chances are that someone else at some point in the past has also had that question, and they've likely already asked it. So check the Q&A section and see if your question has already been asked. Now, if your question hasn't already been asked, you're going to want to go ahead and post a question. Make sure that you leave a very detailed question. Make sure that you convey exactly what you want to understand. Provide context, scenarios, and examples. That's going to better help me answer your question. Now, if you, for whatever reason, you can't get in touch with me through the Q&A section, your next port of call is going to be to send me a message via the instructor page. I aim to answer all questions within 24 hours. So simply pop me a question and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I really want you to feel like I am guiding you through this course. I want you to feel supported through this course. And together, we're going to help harness your confidence. Welcome back. So now in this next lecture, we're going to discuss my teaching style. Now, whenever I take an online course, I really find that it helps if I get to know my instructor, if I get to know how my instructor teaches. So as you're going to learn, I like to make massive use of visuals. I found that visual learning is one of the most powerful techniques in order to convey information. There's been a huge body of scientific literature which points to the reality that visual learning is more impactful and more memorable than, say, text-based learning. So throughout this course, and in fact all of my courses, I've selected some very powerful images to include in my slides. And this way I can really convey a feeling, an emotion to you. You've probably heard of the saying that a picture paints 1,000 words. That's exactly the idea here. However, if you do prefer more text-based learning, then you always have the option to click down on the settings bar and click transcript. This will give you a full audio transcript for every single lecture in this course. This way, I can use my powerful visual technique to teach, while also providing text-based notes for those who prefer this learning style instead. Now, the next thing that you'll notice is that I tend to speak at quite a slow pace. Now, this is something that I've always just quite naturally done. However, this does have two main other benefits. The first benefit is clarity. By speaking at a slower pace, I'm able to convey my message and convey the information and learning material in a much clearer way, a much more direct way, I find. And a lot of the feedback that I've had from students is that they prefer this way. It means that they don't need to keep skipping back in the lecture. The second benefit is that this also allows for people who do not have English as their native language. It means that they're able to follow along with the lectures clearly as well. Now, if you do find that I talk too slowly, then you always have the option to speed up the video. Just go to the video settings and perhaps put it on 1.5 times speed. That should be fast enough in order to do the trick. Okay, so that's enough administrative talk. Let's now dive in to the first proper lecture. So before we dive into discussing product selection criteria, we need to discuss niche selection. Now, this is a subject that many people get bogged down with. The most common mistake I see people make when selecting a niche is that they become victim to what I call paralysis by overanalysis. It's not that niche selection is completely unimportant when growing a successful FBA business. It's that there are way more important aspects for you to focus your attention on. The only real consideration that does need to be taken into account when selecting products to sell is whether that product category that niche falls under on Amazon is gated or ungated. Gated categories usually require you to submit extra documentation to Amazon before you can sell products in that category. So that's why in a PDF directly following this lecture, I've attached a link to the Amazon website page, which is going to show you all of the gated categories for which you need to apply specifically to sell in. And it's usually fairly easy to become ungated in most categories. But note that it is something that you will need to do before you begin selling in that specific gated product category. But other than that, there are no hard or fast rules for niche selection. The truth is, you're actually far better off taking a product-driven approach. So what exactly does this mean? Well, instead of focusing on a specific niche to sell in, we're going to focus our attention to how the individual product is performing. After all, that's what we really care about. We care about how good the individual product sells. This also has the added benefit of making sure that I can give general advice that will cater to all of my students. It's no good me showing you how to find products within the baby niche if you've structured your entire business around the outdoors niche. Again, we want to take a product-driven approach. This approach is what's taken my business from making a loss to now making comfortably over 6 figures per year. And I'm sure you'll have great success using it also. Out of all the criteria that I'm going to teach you, this first one is no doubt probably the most obvious, but it's necessary to cover it anyway, so that we're all on the same page. It won't be a surprise for most of you to know that demand leads to more sales, which is correlated with more money for ourselves. So we want to find products which have a high demand, and specifically, we want to require a product at a bare minimum to be selling no less than 250 units per month on Amazon. Not only do we want to sell more units per month so that we can make more money, that's a given, but an often missed or perhaps misunderstood point that is vital to all FBA businesses is cash flow. If you don't have cash flow, you don't have cash coming in to restock, and you don't have cash to invest in a second product to expand your business. There is, however, one exception that we can make to this 250 units per month rule, and that is when the product price is over $40. In this situation, the profit we would be making would be worth our time and investment, even if the product was selling less than 250 units per month. And in this scenario, I would personally consider the product if the sales were greater than 200 units per month. So now let's say that you've discovered a market with a ton of demand. So the next thing that we need to take a look at is the competition.
The fact is that many products have great demand. However, the issue is that if that product niche is far too competitive, in that case, it's going to make it extremely difficult for us to get ranked anywhere near page 1 for the main product's keyword. It's not that you can't rank a competitive product at the top of the search results. It's just that why would we want to make life harder for ourselves? We want product niches with high demand and low competition. Now let's take the classic example of a yoga mat. If you search yoga mat on Amazon and then you use the Jungle Scout Chrome extension to analyze all the products that appear on the first page, you'll see that they have amazing demand. Some of the sellers are making 5 figures per month alone on this single product. But then, if you take a look at the reviews for the exact same yoga mats, it's safe to say they're going to be well beyond the cutoff that I'm going to advise you apply of having no more than 75 reviews. So why have I chosen 75 to be the cutoff for our reviews? If it's so important to find products that have low competition, why not find products that have, say, 30 or 20 reviews, right? Well, the fact is that 9 times out of 10, any market worth selling a product in is going to have competition. And that's because other sellers just like you will have came along with their Jungle Scout tool and they'll have seen this product has great demand, so they themselves have decided to start selling that product on Amazon. And over time, the reviews have slowly begun to build up. So unless we're one of the very first people to discover a great product opportunity, which is unlikely, then we want to tolerate some level of competition. And in my experience, 75 reviews is a happy medium. We want to sell products that fall, on average, between the price point of $20 and $50. So what makes this price range so special? Well, it's what we call the impulse buying range. This is because, for the vast majority of people who visit the product page, the amount of money they are going to be paying for the product is so small that they're going to feel comfortable not doing any further research about the product before making a purchasing decision. For a lot of people, spending say $35 on a product and then it turning out to not be to the standard that they expected isn't such a huge deal to them. They can handle the buying risk. And at this point you might be thinking, well, in that case, why have the lower price point set to $20? Surely the cheaper the product, the more easy it's going to be for people to make a buying decision. Why don't we just source very cheap products from China and then sell them on Amazon for a cheaper price? We'd be making the same amount of profit per unit and we'd be selling more units. Well, my answer to this would be, that would be a great idea, until you understand that Amazon FBA fees are not linear. The cut that Amazon takes from you per product that you sell does not reduce at the same rate that your price does. So a larger proportion of the money you made from the sale goes to Amazon as your product price decreases. That's why we have the lower limit of $20. $20 is low enough to encourage lots of people to make impulse purchases, but high enough to ensure that we still make a good profit per item on what we sell. So now that begs the question, why have the upper price limit of $50? Surely the more you can charge for the product, the greater proportion of the money that the customer pays for the product will end up in your pocket and not Amazon's. And this is actually completely true. However, there is one issue, and that is that for the vast majority of FBA sellers, sourcing products that have a price point of say $60 on Amazon from China is simply going to cost too much. For example, let's say your supplier has a minimum order quantity of 500 units, and they charge $25 per unit at that order quantity. Then that's going to cost you $12,500 alone just for the products, and that doesn't even include shipping. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be too much for most FBA sellers to purchase. Quickly over time, it becomes clear why having a price range of $20 to $50 is the sweet spot. In an ideal world, any product that we choose to sell on Amazon will be as light as possible. And this is because shipping costs can quickly pile up and eat into your profit margins. That's why I recommend an upper weight limit of no more than £2 per unit when fully packaged. Anything over £2 and the shipping costs become too large, and that's whether you're using sea or air shipping. It doesn't matter. Now, related to weight is product size. Amazon charges you more per unit for storing products in their warehouses if they deem the product to be oversized. And note that these following oversized dimensions apply when the product is fully packaged. So what are they? Well, the item must be less than 18 inches on its longest side, less than 14 inches on its median side, and less than 8 inches on its shortest side. We want to be 100% sure that any product we import from China over to Amazon meets this criteria. I myself, when first starting out, made the mistake of sending in an oversized product from China to Amazon without realizing that it was oversized. The added oversized fee cut into my profit margins immensely, so I don't want you to have to undergo the same shock that I did. And the great thing about Jungle Scout is that it allows you to actually filter out items that don't meet these very specific search criteria. We want to sell products on Amazon that aren't going to break easily for two main reasons. First, we don't want high rates of returns cutting into our profit margins. Secondly, we don't want lots of negative customer feedback on our product listing. The time when our products are at most risk of being damaged is during the shipping process from China to Amazon. Despite popular and sometimes tongue-in-cheek comments from other FBA sellers, the vast majority of Amazon warehouse employees actually treat your products very well. So our main danger is the shipping process. And there's a very short mental checklist that I like to apply to any product which seems borderline fragile. Number 1. Is it likely that the product would become damaged or even smash if I dropped it from hip level? 2. Does the product have more than one moving part? And 3. Would it be tough to make this product to a good standard of quality when being produced in mass bulk in China? And now the obvious products to stay away from, given this criteria, are any glass item, watches, and most types of jewellery. These are all products that I've completely avoided selling on Amazon, and I strongly recommend that you stay away from selling them too. Lastly, it's worth pointing out that although it's not necessary to exclude electrical items from your list of potential products, you do need to be wary when sourcing them. You don't want to purchase rubbish quality electrical items and then deal with the massive rates of high returns and then deal with the massive rates of returns that come with it. This isn't an issue most of the time. I myself have had much success selling electrical items in the past, although my advice would be that if you do end up deciding that you want to sell electrical items, pay extra attention to the reviews and ratings of the supplier that you purchase from on Alibaba. Only buy electrical items from a reputable Alibaba supplier. Okay, so next we're going to discuss legal issues. Some products that are returned to us by the Jungle Scout web app will be protected by either trademark or patents. And if the product is, then you will not be allowed to sell that item on Amazon. You will be breaking both Amazon terms of service and possibly US law if you do so. Usually these products are pretty obvious, but sometimes they're not. The main category, which contains the most trademark items, is the sports and outdoors category and the clothing category. But particularly sport team clothing tends to be trademarked. If you're unsure about whether an item is protected by a trademark or a patent, then you should always double check. It's not worth not giving up 5 minutes of your time to make sure that you're legally eligible to sell that item on Amazon, only to end up having your Amazon account permanently suspended. Or even worse, end up with a lawsuit on your hands. That's why in a PDF directly following this lecture, I've attached a link to the US Patent and Trademark Office. If you're unsure about a particular product, then please use it. We don't want to compete with big brands when selling products on Amazon. In fact, when you run a search using the Jungle Scout web app, some of the products that appear will only be selling well because they're being sold with a particular brand label on them. Now, this is just the power of marketing. There's a good likelihood that a product would not be doing so well if it was being sold by a company that did not have the same level of brand authority. Now, we as ordinary sellers, we don't have nearly as much the same level of brand authority as the bigger companies that sell on Amazon. This means that customers are overwhelmingly likely to choose their brand over ours for the same product, even if our product looks like it's better quality and it's priced cheaper. Once again, this is just the power of brand authority. So when we go looking through the Jungle Scout web app for products later in the course, we need to be mindful of this. Now, a frequent question that people ask me is whether they should compete against Amazon when selling a product. And my answer is yes. And this is because Amazon don't tend to run pay-per-click advertisements on their own products. And they also don't tend to have optimized product listings, which is actually a subject that we're going to come to later in the course. You also have to remember that when you sell a product on Amazon, which Amazon is also selling, you're not really competing against Amazon, because for every sale that you make, Amazon receives a small portion of the money of that sale. So why would they want to outcompete you when they could have you pay for the ads on their website and have you go to all the trouble of creating an optimized product listing, and then at the end of it all, they get a cut of the final payment? The point is, do not be afraid to sell the same product as Amazon. Put simply, we want to sell products that sell well all year round, and not products that only sell well at particular times of the year. Now, without diving too deep into the theory of cash flows, because that could take up an entire course on its own, you just need to know that consistency of sales is incredibly important to any business. Most seasonal products are fairly obvious to spot, such as here on the right of the slide. We have sunglasses and Christmas lights. However, in some situations, it might not be overly obvious whether a product is seasonal. This can be particularly true for most outdoor items. So if you're unsure, then I recommend that you check. So that's why immediately following this lecture, I've attached a link to a PDF which is going to take you over to Google Trends. Now, Google Trends is an extremely easy tool to use which allows you to observe at what times of the year people are searching Google for whatever search term you enter. And as a general rule of thumb, you want to be looking for a flat graph, such as the one at the top right of this slide, and you want to avoid products which have a seasonal graph of the bottom right of this slide. You don't want to be seeing many rises or falls. So if you're unsure whether the product is seasonal, it takes 2 minutes to double check. We don't want to sell anything on Amazon which could have potential health risks for our customers. The fact is that health and safety standards in China are much lower than in the US. The US imposes strict laws on what is allowed to be sold to its citizens. However, in China, the majority of the time, such equivalent laws do not exist, or if they do, they're not nearly as strong, so we must keep this in mind. That's why, ever since starting my own FBA business, I followed the rule of do not sell anything that either goes on or inside of the body. Now straight away, that rules out all food, lotions, creams, and makeup. But you might then say, but Ross, that's a ton of potential products that would be taking off the table. And my reply to that would be yes, you're right, it is. However, the alternative is simply too risky. Aside from obviously not wanting to sell anything that would harm our customers, there is also the legal side of things. If you sell something which ends up injuring or hurting a customer, then you could find yourself liable under law for doing so. So again, I strongly recommend not selling anything which is ingested or put on the skin. Okay, so next we're going to discuss product variations. We don't want to sell any product on Amazon that would require us to stock many variations of the same product. Variations usually include size and colour. And the reason we want to stay away from variations is due to the high numbers of returns that you'll usually experience. The main culprit here is typically clothing items. I've sold clothing items before on Amazon, and it's safe to say that they are one of the worst products for customer returns. And the reason usually has nothing to do with the quality of the product. 9 times out of 10, it's because the customer simply hasn't ordered the correct size. Or they've received the product and then they've decided they either don't like the colour or how the item looks on them. Another reason to stay away from multiple variations is that it becomes much harder to manage multiple inventory levels of the same product. Let's say you're selling the same t-shirt in different sizes, say 6, and then on top of that, imagine selling 3 different colours. That's a total of 18 variations. And by not selling all of those colours and sizes, you'd be excluding potential customers who either can't fit into the product or they don't like that specific colour. Now, it's not that you can't be successful selling clothing products on Amazon or products that require many variations on Amazon. You can, but why make life harder for yourself when there are plenty of much better opportunities with less headaches out there? This goes back to what I said at the start of the course. We want to make life as easy as possible for ourselves. And that way, we can focus our attention to the aspects of our business which matter the most. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to sign up with the Jungle Scout web app and the Jungle Scout Chrome extension. Bear in mind that this video is completely optional, and if you already have the web app and the Chrome extension, then you can just skip forward 2 videos and begin watching the lectures from there. So to begin, we're going to go over to junglescout.com. Okay, so now that we're at junglescout.com, let's go over to this sign up button here. And straight away, as you can see, you're going to be given 2 main payment options. You can either choose to pay annually or you can choose to pay monthly. Now I would actually recommend that you choose to pay yearly. And this is because if you are wanting to be serious about getting into Amazon FBA, then the chances are that you're going to use Jungle Scout multiple times over the course of just 1 year. So it's completely up to you, but my advice would be to pay yearly. So the next thing that you'll notice is that there's 3 main product tiers that we have. And for this course, all you're going to be required to use is the startup version. The only difference between the startup version and the other versions is that you won't have access to the Niche Hunter. However, we're not going to be using that in the course here. Also note that instead of being able to track 150 or 80 products, we're just going to be able to track 40 products. In my experience, this is more than enough. So once you're happy, come and click pay $29 per month. You'll then be taken to a screen where you can fill out your details and your credit card information. And once you've done that and you've confirmed your email address, come and sign in to the web app. Okay, so if you've successfully signed up and then logged in, you should see this page here, this product tracker page. And then next, we're going to learn how to install the Chrome extension. Welcome back. So now we're back on the Jungle Scout homepage, and now we want to install the Chrome extension. So we're going to come up to products here, and then we're going to click the Chrome extension. And then all you need to do is scroll right down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see these two options, Pro and Lite. Feel free to go ahead and purchase the Pro if you like, but in this course, all you'll need is the Lite version, which is $97 for a one-time fee. So come and click this button. Next, simply fill out your credit card information. Once you've done that, you'll be able to log back into Jungle Scout and be able to actually download the Chrome extension onto your Chrome browser. So let's do that now. Okay, so I'm back in my product tracker section of Jungle Scout, and I'm just going to come up to the top here and click Chrome extension. Now I'm just going to scroll down until I see Install Chrome extension. Then all I need to do is click Add extension. And you can see here, it tells me, thank you for installing Jungle Scout. So once you've done that, you'll see the Jungle Scout Chrome extension icon appear here in the top right hand side of your browser. You'll just need to click on that and then log in with your Jungle Scout account details. So as soon as you've got that far, you're going to be ready to move on to the next lecture. Okay guys, so now we're over here on the Jungle Scout web app and we're on the Product Database tab. So now in this lecture, I'm going to show you the exact search criteria that you should use in the Jungle Scout web app. And you'll see that here and here we have multiple fields that we can use to specify our search criteria. So I'm going to pause the video now and fill out all of these criteria. Then I'll unpause the video and we can discuss each criteria point by point. Okay, so welcome back. Now we're going to begin going through the criteria that I've selected point by point. So to start off, you can see here that I've selected the Amazon Marketplace to be the United States. Then we'll come down to the categories section and you can see here that all the product categories that have been ticked are the ones that are going to be displayed in our search criteria. So now I'm going to talk through the ones that I've chosen to deselect and why. Well, first of all, you may remember that I said that we do not want to sell products that either go on or in the body. Now the fact is that the vast majority of products within the beauty niche tend to be makeup related, so we want to stay away from them. And the reason that we don't want to sell books, CDs or vinyl is that if you remember, we want to actually private label our own product. We don't want to sell someone else's brand. We've deselected clothing, shoes and jewelry because if you remember from a previous lecture, I told you that these products tend to be the ones that incur the highest returns. We've deselected all types of food items because, of course, we don't want to sell anything that goes inside of the body. And that's the same reason why we've deselected health and household. Kindle Store has been deselected for the same reason that books, CDs and vinyl have, and that is that we want to sell our own branded product, not someone else's on the Kindle Store. And this is the same for movies and TV. So musical instruments tend to be quite brittle, and if you remember, we don't want to ship products over from China to the US that could break during transit. Software's been deselected because obviously we can't really private label software. So the same with video games, we can't private label video games. And watches have been deselected for the same reason that jewelry was selected, and that is that you tend to get high rates of returns for those kind of products. Not to mention, they're also quite fragile. So if we hop on over now to the right side of the screen, we're going to see the product tiers section. So remember, we don't want to sell oversized items. We only want to sell standard sized items because Amazon charges us an extra fee per month to store items that they class as oversized within their FBA warehouses. So here we've just selected standard. Now you don't need to worry about this seller section over here. We're going to come straight down to filters. So as you can see, we've set the minimum price point to be $20 and the maximum price point to be $50. And we've set the minimum monthly sales that we expect the product to have to 250. And we've set the max reviews to 75. We don't want more reviews than 75. That signals to us that this is a very competitive niche if there's more than 75 reviews. And here again we go back to the point about not wanting to sell heavy products because the fees that we're going to incur when we ship the product from China to the US. And that's why that we've set the maximum weight of the product to be £2. Another thing that I'll point out is that the Jungle Scout web app allows you to include certain keywords and exclude certain keywords. We're not going to use that feature for now though. And lastly, come to the display section and select 200. So that's going to display 200 items per page, and that just makes our lives a little easier. Okay, so that's enough for search criteria. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to dive straight in and start adding potentially profitable products to our product tracker. Okay guys, so now it's time for us to dive straight in and start searching for potentially profitable products. So I'm going to begin by clicking search. Okay, so now our goal by the end of this exercise is to have around 10 to 20 potential products stored within our product tracker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this list, and for educational purposes I'm going to select certain products and explain to you why I would select them and add them to our product tracker, or why I wouldn't select them, and why they're probably not good product opportunities. So let's begin. So as you can see here, we have a set of bulbs. Now by now in the course, I don't need to tell you that they're probably not the best product to private label. So next we have a SIM card for tracking pets. And personally, I would not trust selling a product like that, so we're going to leave that alone. And here we can see this aromatherapy scented candle. We can see this glass exterior, so that's probably not the best product to try and private label. Next we have this baby heartbeat sound amplifier. Again, I wouldn't trust the product coming from China. It's probably not going to be best to sell something that could potentially be used to, diagnose a baby of some kind of ailment, so we're going to leave that alone. So now we've got batteries. Getting batteries through certain customs in the US can be quite difficult, so again we want to make our lives as easy as possible, so we're going to leave the batteries alone. Again, we have some bulbs. Okay, so from the looks of it, this looks like it could be a good product opportunity. Here we have some microfiber towels. And as you can imagine, a product like this would actually be fairly easy to private label. I can't imagine it would cost much to make these in bulk. Also, the shipping charges from China to the US would be very reasonable given its weight. So at this point, this is an ideal candidate. So we're going to come over to this side of the screen and we're going to click Add to your product tracker. And now let's continue down the list and find at least one more product that we want to add to our product tracker, and then I'll cut the video away and do the rest behind the scenes. Okay, so next we have some kind of dog food. We don't want to private label that. Earth animal, no hide, beef chews. Again, guys, we don't want to be private labeling things that go on or inside of the body, so automatically we can cross off the idea of these types of dog chews. Again, edible treat rings, we don't want that. There's no image here. More bulbs. Okay, so these look like they could be viable. Black deck protector sleeves. Again, much like the microfiber cloth, it would probably be very easy to produce these in mass bulk to a good standard of quality and private label them. And also, again, the shipping from China to the US would be fairly cheap. So again, we're going to go over and add this to our product tracker. Okay guys, so I think that you're starting to get the point. All you would do is simply work through this list and add products that you think would be viable for private label given the list of 10 criteria that we've learnt about in previous lectures. So I'm going to pause the screen recording now I'm going to continue going through this list, and then when I cut back, we're going to have around 10 to 20 potential private label products. Okay guys, welcome back. So I've just collected some products, and here we are in the product tracker section. And now what I want to do is go through, say, 10 of the 22 products that I've collected and explain to you exactly why I've added these to our product tracker list. So the first product that we have here is an outdoor portable hammock. And the reason that I've chose this is because it's a very simple item. It's essentially just a sheet of material with some holes inserted either end. So it's actually going to be a very easy product to mass produce to a good quality in China. And secondly here, we have these heavy duty resistance exercise bands. And straight away you might be wondering, well, Ross, you said don't have many variations. And that's completely true. We can actually sell these 4 different colours in one pack. And as you can imagine, they're also very easy to make and also ideal to private label because we can just place our brand logo here on the band. So moving on, we have this shower basket caddy. And what's great about these is how compact they are, meaning that it would cost very little to have these shipped from China over to the US. They're also a very simple product and not much can go wrong. Okay, so moving on, we have this adjustable knee brace. And a really good sign here is that the product is being sold by just a regular seller like me and you. Calm is not a well-known brand. Neoprone is also readily available in China and actually very cheap, so it likely would not cost us much money to have many of these manufactured. So here we have this 5-pack of baby birth cloths. These are a very simple product and obviously very lightweight, and it would also be easy to put our brand logo here on the label. Okay, so I think you get the idea. So now that we have a nice long list of potential products to private label, we're going to move on to a new section of the course where I'm going to show you how you can reduce this list right down, leaving only the best product opportunities. So now that we have a list of potentially profitable products within our product tracker, we want to begin narrowing down our selection based on some advanced criteria. And we're going to do that by using the Jungle Scout Chrome extension. So the first advanced criteria is price. Specifically, we want to see that the top 10 sellers for the product are selling the product for on average $20 or more. So by knowing that the product is selling for $20 or more on average, that gives us peace of mind that we will be able to make a good profit on each sale after we have paid both FBA fees and manufacturing and shipping fees. If, on the other hand, we see that on average the selling price for the top 10 sellers is less than $20, then it would be tough for us to come into the market and price our product at around the $20 minimum price point. And our customers would be much more likely to purchase from our competitors. So simply take the top 10 sellers for the product, add all the prices up, and then divide by 10. And if that price is greater than $20, then you're onto a winner. Our second advanced criteria is that there is a sufficient number of units being sold within the product niche. And there's actually 2 sub-criteria that we are going to require our potential product to pass. The first sub-criteria is that we want to see that the top 10 sellers within the product niche are selling 2,500 units combined at a minimum per month. This tells us that there is sufficient buying demand within the niche. However, this isn't much good for us if all the sales are being accomplished by maybe 1 or 2 sellers within the top 10 for that product niche. And this is why our first sub-criteria has to be accompanied with our second sub-criteria, which is we want to ensure that each of the top 10 sellers within this product niche are selling at a minimum 200 units each per month. This criteria tells us whether there is a healthy spread of sales between the top 10 sellers. And that is a very strong indicator that we would be able to enter this market and not be dominated by a handful of sellers who are responsible for most of the sales. Our third advanced criteria is that there must be a lack of reviews within the product niche. And just like the last criteria, we're actually going to go off 2 sub-criteria that we are going to require our potential products to pass. The first sub-criteria is that there is at least one seller within the top 5 sellers for the product niche that has less than 75 reviews. And the second sub-criteria is that there are 3 sellers within the top 10 that have less than 75 reviews. If this is the case, this immediately confirms to us that we're dealing with a very immature niche. Sales on Amazon are hugely correlated with the number of reviews that a product has within a specific niche. People are much more likely to buy a product from a seller that has the most reviews. In fact, my experience tells me that people will usually buy from a seller that has, say, 100 4-star reviews over a seller that has only 50, even 5-star reviews. The number of reviews really does matter. And if you've already launched a product before, you'll actually know that the most important part of successfully launching that product is obtaining reviews. So by entering an immature niche, this gives us the opportunity to launch our product and begin acquiring reviews before the market becomes too saturated and as others launch their own private label product within this niche and get reviews before we get a chance to. So to summarize, if any of the products that you have found using the Jungle Scout web app in the last section of the course, which should be saved in your product tracker, pass the 3 criteria we have covered in this section of the course, then all other things being equal, you have yourself a winning product. So now that we've learned about the advanced criteria that we want to apply, we're back here in our product tracker. And now I'm going to show you how to analyze a product niche using the Jungle Scout Chrome extension tool. So the first thing that you'll want to do is come over to one particular product and click on its product title. That's then going to take us over to the product's Amazon page. Next, you want to select the keyword from the title which best represents that product. So in this case, we're going to select outdoors portable hammock. So copy and paste that right here into the Amazon search bar. And here in the search results, we can see the product niche. So next we want to click the Jungle Scout Chrome extension icon. And now this window has been populated with data that we can use and analyze in order to determine whether this is a profitable product opportunity. So now that you know how to analyze a niche, we're going to jump back over to the slides and start analyzing each one of our products within our product tracker. So now I've selected 8 of the most interesting Jungle Scout Chrome extension data tables. And we're now going to go through them one by one and analyze the data. My goal by doing this is for you, by the end of this lecture, to feel extremely confident analyzing product niches on your own and knowing for sure when you've came across a good product opportunity. Another point worth mentioning is that although during this lecture you will see some great product opportunities, particularly towards the end, the point of this lecture is to teach you how to analyze your own potential products and not just try to private label the products that you see here. If you come to understand the analysis process, then you'll be able to use your own skills to identify great product opportunities in the future. So let's begin. So here we can see that we have the data table for the baby cloth niche. And I should also mention that for each of these tables, we're first going to look at the price column, then the sales column, and finally the reviews column. And if the product niche passes each of our individual advanced criteria that we've learnt in the previous lectures, then we're going to class the product as a good opportunity. So in order to get practice, I recommend that for each table that I show you, you pause the video, come to your own conclusion, and then resume the video to hear my analysis. So the first thing that should stand out as a red flag for the baby cloth niche is the low price point. For the top 10 products, only 2 of the products within the top 10 meet our criteria of being priced over $20. So at this point, you should remove this product from your product tracker. As soon as the product fails just one of the criteria, you should spend no more time researching that product because there are better opportunities available. If in this lecture you see me continue to analyze a product, that's purely for educational purposes. In real life, as soon as a product's failed the criteria, I would simply just remove it from my product tracker and move on to the next data table to analyze. Okay, so again, pause the video, and once you've come to your own conclusion, you can resume. Right, so the average price point for the top 10 products is actually over $20. And it may not seem like it at first, because the big orange average price box at the top of your screen says $17.66. However, that's for all of the products on the first page, and not just the products within the top 10. But because we're good FBA sellers, we're going to be able to get our product into the top 10 spot. So we don't actually care about the average price point for the entire page. So the product passes the price criteria. So the next thing I'll point out is that every now and then you will get an anomaly in your data. For example, product number 4 sales are an anomaly. They're actually a lot lower than that of the other products. So realistically, we can discount this product sales data from our analysis. And the next thing worth pointing out is that sometimes the first couple of products at the top and right at the bottom of each page are only there because they're paid advertisements. So sometimes their sales simply aren't representative of the rest of the top 10 products. Now this is something that you're going to need to evaluate on a case-by-case basis. If an advertised product data appears to be in line with the rest of the top 10 products data, then it can be safe to take it into consideration during your analysis. If, however, the data points are way off compared to the other products within the top 10, then you can usually safely discount it. With that said, if we're going to discount both the anomaly of product 4 and the anomaly of the paid product in place 2, then this product niche would most definitely pass our criteria of having over 2,500 sales combined for the top 10 sellers. And also, each of the top 10 sellers selling no less than 200 units per month. However, when looking at the reviews for the niche, we quickly see that it fails our criteria. Not only is there not 3 products in the top 10 that have less than 75 reviews, but many of the products have well over 1,000 reviews. These are an instant red flag that this niche is far too competitive. So here we see an example of why it's so important for us to understand the data and not just rely on the Jungle Scout score that you can see in the top right hand side of your screen. Because if we went purely off the score right now, we'd mistakenly think that this is a great product opportunity, when on further inspection, it's actually not a good opportunity. So the first criteria that this product fails to meet is the pricing criteria. The average price point for the top 10 products is way below our minimum criteria of $20. Secondly, although the total sales for the top 10 products within the niche totals well over 2,500, 3 of the products within the niche fail our criteria of having more than 20 sales each per month. So although, as you may have realized, the reviews for this niche pass our criteria, the price and demand do not. So the lesson to be learned here is that certain web applications can't always pick out the details in the data. Now, Jungle Scout is very good, but it can't analyze every little bit of data. That's why it's so important for us to do these exercises, to ensure that we don't become misled. The scores should be used as a general guide and nothing more. Okay, now let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to resume analysing our potential products. Welcome back. So next, we have the cut-resistant garden gloves. And straight away, we can see that the average price point for the top 10 products is well below our criteria of $20. In fact, not even one of the products in the top 10 for this niche has a price that meets the minimum criteria of $20. So straight out the gate, this product has failed. On top of that, when looking at the sales, we can see that the product fails both of our sales criteria. We can see that when we add up the total sales for the top 10 products, it falls well short of our minimum criteria of 2,500 units per month. And also, only 3 of the top 10 products meet the criteria of having at least 200 sales per month. So we can safely say that this is not a good product opportunity. And next, we have the dog car seat cover. And straight away we can clearly see that our price criteria has been met. So now let's take a look at the sales. We can see that this product far exceeds our requirement for total sales for the top 10 products within this niche to be more than 2,500 sales per month. And since we can safely discount product number 3 as an anomaly, the criteria of each product within the top 10 selling no less than 200 units per month is passed, and passed with flying colours. It's actually only until we look at the reviews do we see that this product is not a good opportunity. In fact, because we are disregarding product number 3 as an anomaly, this product niche fails both the criteria of having at least one product with less than 75 reviews within the top 5 products, and also our criteria of having at least 3 products within the top 10 that have less than 75 reviews. Okay, so next we have the heat transfer vinyl packs. Now we do have to bear in mind that different sellers for this product are selling different size packs, and that is reflected in the price. But nonetheless, the product still doesn't quite meet all of the criteria. So now, pause the video and I want you to work out why. Okay, so to start with, the niche passes the price criteria as the average price across the top 10 products is greater than $20 and less than $50. Now, although the niche passes our criteria of having a total sales of over 2,500 for the top 10 products within the niche, each individual product within the top 10 is not selling more than 200 products per month. And this makes the fact that the niche does pass all of our review criteria completely irrelevant. So although this has been one of the best niches that we've seen so far, it's still not good enough to be classed as a good product opportunity. So next we have the shower caddy basket. So the first thing I would do is discount product number 10's price as an anomaly, as it's clearly not typical for products within this niche to have such a low price point, and the fact that the product has an average review rating, which you can see on the far right, of just 3.5, this tells us that the seller is likely trying to make up for the poor feedback by lowering the price of the product right down. So after discounting product number 10, we can see that the niche satisfies our criteria of an average price point of $20 for the top 10 products within the niche. So now we can move on to viewing the sales, and we can see that the product more than satisfies our criteria of having a total sales of 2,500 per month for the top 10 products within the niche. And if we discount product number 6 as an anomaly, due to the fact by looking at its reviews, it appears that it's just been added to the market, then the product also satisfies our criteria of each product within the top 10 selling more than 200 units per month. In fact, As we can see, many of the products are actually selling over 1,000 units per month. The product also satisfies both of our criteria for reviews, as there is one seller within the top 5 that has less than 75 reviews, and there is also a total of 3 sellers within the top 10 that have less than 75 reviews also. Therefore, this is the first product that has passed our strict criteria, and we can say that this is a good product opportunity fit for us to private label. And lastly, here we have the acrylic sign holder niche. So firstly, the product niche passes our price criteria as the price is higher than $20 and less than $50. We can also see straight away that the combined number of sales for the top 10 products is well over 2,500 per month. And when we discount product number 3, due to its number of reviews being so low, the product niche also far exceeds our criteria of each of the top 10 sellers selling more than 200 units per month. The number of reviews for this niche is also very low. As well as having one product within the top 5 having less than 75 reviews, the niche also has a total of 5 products within the top 10 having less than 75 reviews. This far surpasses our criteria of just 3 products within the top 10 having 75 reviews or less. And therefore, this product niche very rightly deserves its Jungle Scout opportunity score of 8, and we will class this as a great private label product opportunity. So now that we've reduced down the length of our potential products significantly, so now that we're only left with products that would be great opportunities, I want to provide you with some bonus criteria that are completely optional, which will help you make a final decision if you're struggling to pick a product to move forward with. So the first of our bonus criteria is going to be how easy it's going to be for us to make improvements to our product by learning from the mistakes and faults of products that are already on the market within the niche. So by making sure that our products don't possess these same faults, we're going to be able to ensure that our product stands out from the competition, and this, in turn, is going to lead to us getting more sales and less negative reviews, and obviously, hopefully, lots of positive reviews. So the best place to look for inspiration on how to improve a product is to go to the reviews section on the product listing and take a look at the most critical reviews that are displayed. These can be an absolute goldmine in terms of discovering improvements that can help you make your own private labeled version much better than your competitors. So if we take a look at some of the examples of very critical 1-star reviews for a range of products here on the right hand side of the slide, we can see comments that usually relate to ease of usage and most commonly complaints about the quality of the material that is being used. So when it comes time to communicating with a potential supplier in order to have them make this product for you, you need to make these improvements absolutely crystal clear to them. You can even send them pictures, just like the ones here on the right, which actually display the types of issues that past customers are having with related products. And this way, you can ensure that your supplier can take all the necessary steps required to avoid your product encountering the same issues. You'll recall that earlier in the course, we discussed how important reviews are in converting potential customers into paying customers. And another factor, which is equally as important, is having an optimized product listing. Therefore, we want to enter a product niche where many of our competitors have sub-optimized product listings, and this in turn is going to make it much easier for us to outcompete them. So, what exactly does having a well-optimized product listing do for us? Well, firstly, it makes it much easier to rank your product for its main keywords. And secondly, once potential customers actually arrive on your product page, it increases the likelihood that they will make a purchase because the page is well detailed and contains all of the information they need in order to feel comfortable making a purchase. So what exactly should we look for? Well, go through the top 10 products for the niche that you're struggling to choose between. And for each of those products, ask the following questions. Has the seller used multiple high-quality images that crucially allow you to zoom in? Has the product title been filled with descriptive keywords and have all the possible characters been used up? Has the seller added multiple bullet points that are not only keyword rich, but also contain lots of relevant information about the product that the potential buyer would likely want to know? And lastly, has the seller bothered to add a detailed description which builds further on the information presented within the bullet points? And have they taken the time to format this description and add additional images which feature the product in use? Or have they simply added the description as one single blob of text? If the answer to the above questions is yes for the majority of the top 10 sellers within that specific product niche, then it's a great indicator that this could be the product niche that you should enter into. Simply by putting in the effort to create a great product listing, you could capitalize on their laziness and take their sales for yourself.